Welcome to Sleep Tight Frights, the place where bedtime stories don't always end sweetly. I'm Evergrey, your storyteller in the shadows. Each tale is a little strange, a little spooky, and just creepy enough to keep you peeking over the covers. So settle in, close your eyes, but don't fall asleep just yet. Some fog is just weather, but sometimes it rolls in with something else. A curse, a name, a swing that was never finished. Tonight's tale takes us to a quiet golf course where silence grows heavy. Greens remember their dead, and a boy must decide whether to walk away or play the final stroke. This is Mist on the Pines. Clearwater Pines golf course was the kind of place that looked like it belonged in a storybook, at least when the sun was shining. Rolling hills, perfect greens, pine trees in neat rows like guards standing watch. But no one talked about Clearwater on sunny days. They talked about it when the fog came in, thick, silent, heavy enough to blur your footsteps behind you. Like the air itself had turned to water. It always rolled in slow, then all at once, and when it did, the whispers started. Tyler stood with his golf team near the first hole, tugging his sleeves down, his breath clouded in the air, teeny little puffs. "Where's Coach?" someone muttered. "We're going to be late for tee-off time." "Probably waiting for the fog to lift." "It won't," said one of the older kids, Mason. His face was half shadowed in the gray. "It never does. Not when it wants someone." Tyler glanced over. "What wants someone?" Mason just smirked and tapped his club against the grass. "You know, him." The others went quiet. Someone shifted their golf shoes, spiking the dew. "You mean the story?" Tyler asked. "The one about the fog golfer?" Mason nodded slowly. "The golfer in the fog," he said, voice low. Tyler rolled his eyes. "Seriously?" "Dead serious," Mason replied. "They said he shows up when it's thickest, when you can't see the next hole, or even the person beside you." Someone behind them cleared their throat. "They say he's looking for a shot that never finished," the kid added. "The last one he ever made." Tyler tried to laugh, but it came out weird and flat. "This place has real hazards," he said, "like sand traps, not ghosts." But his voice sounded too loud in the silence. The fog seemed to drink it in. Then came a soft, sharp sound. Clink! Like a metal club tapping stone. They all froze. Tyler turned towards the 18th green, barely visible through the fog. A shape stood there, far away, still, bent at the waist, just staring. "Who's that?" he whispered. Mason squinted. "No one should be on the last hole yet." The shape moved slightly. Something long and thin hung from one hand, a club. "Maybe it's Coach," someone said. But Tyler already knew it wasn't. He felt it in his chest, a cold squeeze, like being watched from somewhere too close. The shape turned. Fog coiled around it like smoke. Then it was gone. Tyler's heart thudded against his ribs. "That was probably just a groundskeeper," he said quickly. But nobody answered. The team stood still, staring at the now empty green. And in the distance, faint and slow, click, drag, click. Something heavy was walking across the fairway, looking for its next game. It wasn't always called the Haunted Hole. Once, the 18th at Clearwood Pines was just a beautiful finish. A soft dogleg to the right with a view of the pond. Players loved it. It was the kind of green people remembered, the kind of place people took photos. But that was before the fog swallowed a manhole, before the hole earned its legend. No one remembered his name, not for sure. Some said it was George Wells, others said Garrett Wilton. The records were spotty, and the paper from that year was water-damaged, which only made the story worse. What was known was this. It happened decades ago, during the Pines Invitational. A man, one of the top players, stepped up to the hole 8 with a chance to win. His drive was perfect. His second shot soared right towards the flag, but before it could land, the fog came. Fast, unnatural, like a curtain dropping from the sky, spectators gasped. Players froze. By the time the air cleared enough to see again, the green was empty. No man, no ball, no footsteps, just the faint smell of wet grass and something else, rotten, like pond water, left out too long. They searched the whole course, volunteers, police, even divers for the pond. They found his bag still sitting upright near the path, a fresh divot on the green, but no player, no trace, just a long, shallow groove in the wet earth, as if something had been dragged right up to the pond's edge, and then nothing. The papers called it a tragic accident, said maybe he slipped, maybe he fell into the water and hit his head, maybe the fog confused him and he watered into the trees. But even the officials admitted something didn't add up, because the pond had been searched, and if he had run off into the woods, why leave behind everything? His wallet, his car keys, his shoes. One of them still had the laces tied. The tournament was cancelled after that, for years. They stopped using the 18th hole, let it grow wild, until one day someone noticed the grass never quite covered the green again, like it remembered, like it was waiting. And so the story stayed, passed down by caddies and cousins and kids who spent too many summers at the Pine. They called him the golfer in the fog, said he never made it home, said he's still wandering, looking for his final shot, looking for a ball that never landed. And if you're the one who finds it, he'll let you take the swing. But if you do, you finish the game. And the last name on the scorecard won't be his anymore. It'll be yours. Tyler had always liked showing up early, the quiet before the tournament. No one yelling, no scorekeeping yet. Just the soft crunch of carts and the birds waking up. He liked the way the course smelled in the morning too, like wet grass and pine needles. He didn't believe in ghost stories, not really. But even he had to admit, this morning felt off. The fog was thick, worse than usual, so heavy it looked like the air had been stirred with cream. He wandered alone near the practice range, just trying to clear his head. That's when he saw it. A patch of sand, not the main bunker. This was off the path, near the edge of the trees, too far away from any hole. Tyler squinted. Was that a sand trap? It wasn't on the map. It wasn't listed in any layout, but the sand was real, and in the center, a single golf ball. At first he figured someone had just hit wide. He walked over, curiosity prickling at his arms. The ball wasn't like others he knew. It was old, yellowed. The surface cracked like it had been buried for years. The dimples were worn smooth. He leaned down. The initials were GW. His fingers froze mid-reach. GW. The same initials from the old tournament stories from the last golfer. Tyler looked around. The trees were quiet. No one else in sight. He reached down, and the moment he touched the ball, a chill ran up his wrist. Sharp. Like grabbing something that had teeth. He yanked his hand back, stared at the ball. It hadn't moved, but the sand around it had changed. Teeny lines dragging outward from the ball in every direction, like something had crawled out of it, or was still underneath. He didn't say anything when he jogged back to the clubhouse, didn't mention the initials or the bite of cold in his skin. But when he checked his own golf bag before the round, there was a second ball tucked in beside the others, cracked, yellowed, with GW written in faded ink, and a smear of sand still clinging to its surface. Tyler zipped the pocket shut, hard. He wasn't ready to believe it yet, but something had found him, and the fog wasn't lifting. The tournament began like any other, sort of. Coaches yelled, players stretched. Someone spilled half a bottle of iced tea on their scorecard and tried to dry it with their hat. Normal stuff. Except the fog hadn't lifted. Not even a little. Stay close to your group, Coach warned. Don't wander. Visibility's garbage. Should we even be playing in this? Someone muttered. Coach sighed. The board didn't cancel it. You want to win or not? Tyler adjusted his glove, eyes scanning the course. He didn't know why, but he felt drawn to the last hole, like it was watching him, waiting. They played through The front 9 fast. Mist clung to their clothes like static. The sound of the game felt damp, muted, like they were underwater. By the back 9, 2 things became clear. 1, Tyler was playing really well. And 2, weird things were happening. Someone's ball vanished off the fairway without a trace. Another player swore she heard footsteps behind her, but no one was there. One kid, Zach, quit entirely after his bag zipper unzipped itself. "Nope," he said, pale. "I'm out. I like breathing." Tyler laughed nervously with the others, but he kept checking his scorecard. The corner was damp, not like sweat, like pond water. Hole 15 came and went, then 16, 17. He was up next on 18. "Last hole," Coach called, clapping him on the back. "Make it count, Tyler." He tried to nod, but his fingers were cold, and in his bag, the GW ball had moved. It wasn't in the zippered pouch anymore. It sat right on top of his other balls, dry, clean, like it had never touched sand, waiting. "Tyler, you're up." He walked to the tee box. The fog swirled at his feet, curling up his legs like ghost fingers. He teed up a regular ball. Not that one. Hand shaking, swung. Clean shot, crisp contact. He watched it arch in the air and vanish. Not land, not bounce, not roll. Just blinked out in mid-air, like someone had erased it. The fog closed around the fairway like a door, slamming shut. He turned to his group. They were gone. Coach, players, scorekeepers, gone. Even the faint shouts and claps from the rest of the course were gone. Only the fog remained, and something else. Click, drag, click. A slow metal scrape. Tyler turned back towards the green. A figure stood there, bent slightly, pulling something long behind them. An old golf bag, clubs rattling. One pant leg torn, shirt yellowed and stiff with time. The man didn't speak, just pointed at the hole and stepped aside. Tyler's mouth went dry. He walked forward slowly, feet heavy in the grass. The air was cold, so cold. He looked down. There was no ball, only a small white marker, cracked, leaning, etched with 3 words, "Final stroke, GW." Tyler pulled a ball from his pocket, his own, set it down, swung. The ball rolled, wobbled, stopped right on the edge, hung there, and then a second ball rolled out of the fog, fast, crashed into his. Both vanished into the hole. Tyler gasped, took a step back. The figure was gone. The fog only held silence, and behind him, footprints, old-fashioned, golf spikes, trailing into the trees. Tyler stumbled backwards from the hall. The fog pressed in, thick and wet like soaked cotton, but the green beneath his feet was firm, too firm, like something solid was buried under the surface. He looked. No marker, no balls, no footprint. Just grass, quiet, still, as if nothing had happened except for the smell. The pond nearby reeked, swampy and sour like algae rotting in the sun, and something about the water, he squinted. Something moved, a shadow, long, slow, too big for a fish. Then he heard his name again. "Tyler!" Voices, real ones this time, shouting through the mist. He turned and ran. The fog parted like drapes in a haunted house, and there they were. Coach, the team, a cluster of adults and players near the cart path. "There you are," Coach barked, jogging over. "You disappeared. Tyler swallowed. "I just went to the green." "We saw you vanish," one of the other kids said, wide-eyed, like poof. "I was right there behind you," his caddy added, pale. "Then you were just gone." Tyler didn't answer, not yet. He looked down at his card. He looked down at his hand, still clutching his scorecard. That's when he saw it. A new name had been scratched into the bottom corner. Not printed, not penciled, scratched. GW. Final stroke, complete. His stomach turned. He flipped the card over. On the back, smaller, fainter, like it had been burned into the paper. Next. He folded the scorecard fast and shoved it deep in his pocket. Coach raised an eyebrow. "Well, how was your last shot?" Tyler forced a nod. "It went in." The other kids cheered. "He nailed it. That means we place." But Tyler didn't celebrate. Not really, because something about that swing didn't feel like his, and when he glanced back towards the green, the fog was gone. The hole sat empty. The pond rippled once, then stilled. Later in the clubhouse, Tyler sat on the edge of the bench, still in his gear, the tournament ribbon hanging forgotten around his neck. He pulled the scorecard out again. The name was still there. But now, beneath it, another word appeared, soon, and under it, faint and soggy in the corner card, 3 marks, like long, wet fingernail scratches, or something that scratched up from beneath the green. Tyler couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the white marker, final stroke, etched like a warning, and the name, GW, still burned into his scorecard like a scar. He kept hearing the last sound, too, like a faint echo of 2 golf balls falling into the cup. Then silence, then water, always the water. By morning, the fog had lifted, but Tyler wasn't interested in breakfast, or the awards ceremony, or his team shouting and celebrating over cinnamon muffins. He took his golf bag and slipped away. No one noticed. The air was cool, the grass still damp, but the green on hole 18 was clear now. No fog, no footprints, just dew glittering like frost, and something about it looked different. The ground fell off beneath his shoes, not soft, not spongy, hard, like walking on a door. Tyler stepped carefully towards the hole, knelt down, pried his fingers into the dirt beside the cup. The grass peeled back easier than it should have. He paused, then started digging. At first, it was just soil, but 6 inches down, his nails scraped wood, old wood, water-warped, splintered. He brushed it off, a box, not locked, just sealed shut with age. Tyler's hand shook. He opened it. Inside, a torn scorecard, half rotten, a rusted watch with cracked glass, a ball marker with the initials GW carved in bone, and a note, faded and strained. He squinted at the writing. If you found this final stroke is not the end. The course took me, the green remembers. Not lost, buried, water's edge. Tyler stared at the words. The green, it was hollow, and near the water, he remembered the drag marks, the smell, the shadow under the surface. He stood heart-pounding, looking at the pond, and suddenly the ripple returned, not from a fish, not from wind, from something else, something large, waiting, watching, something still beneath. Something still underneath. Tyler didn't go back to the clubhouse. He followed the curve of the green until he reached the pond. It wasn't a big pond, barely wide enough to count as a hazard, but the water was black with pine needles and slick with algae. The surface rippled gently. No wind, no ducks, just silence, and that smell again. Rotten, old, like something sunk. Tyler crouched at the edge, right where the muddy drag mark had been the day before. The earth was still disturbed, wetter than it should have been. He poked at it with his teeth, uncovering something slick beneath the mud. Cloth. Gray. Mold-streaked. He pulled it gently. A strip tore free, soaked with pond water and stiff with something that smelled like rust. Then he saw it. A shoe, half buried in the reeds, golf style, two-tone, the stitching loose, leather cracked, one lace still tied. Tyler's breath caught. He didn't touch it, but the moment he leaned closer, the water moved. A shadow passed beneath the surface, long, slow, like a log with purpose, and then eyes, 2 of them, close to the shore, yellow-ringed, lidless, floating just beneath the scum. Watching, following. Tyler fell backwards. Scrambling up the slope, mud slid under his shoe and his breath came in fast gulps. He looked again. The eyes were gone. The water had gone still. And where the eyes had been, a golf ball bobbed. Yellow, cracked, with a bite mark in the side. He didn't touch it, just stood, stared, and behind him something clicked. He turned fast. A man stood nearby, older, wearing a groundskeeper's vest, holding a rake. "I wouldn't mess with that pond, son," he said. Tyler's voice came out thin. "You seen it too?" The man's face was pale under his cap. "I've seen more than I wanted," he said quietly. "The body's still there." Tyler froze. "You mean GW?" The man nodded. "They never found him, but he's still part of this place, and something else found him first." He nodded towards the pond. "Never used to be gators in this area. But after the tournament, they started showing up. Big ones, wrong ones." He tapped his rake against the dirt. "You play the last stroke, kid?" Tyler nodded slowly. The man's grip tightened. Then you best be careful. Tyler looked back to the water, still, silent. The shoe was gone, and floating in its place was a T marker, white, cracked, with fresh words scratched in, "Stay." Tyler didn't sleep again that night. Not after what the groundskeeper said, not after what he saw. He kept replaying it in his head, the old shoe, the shadow under the water, the eyes unblinking and wrong. And the final marker, "Stay," like a command, like the course had already made up his mind. The next morning, Tyler skipped breakfast again. He rode his bike back to Clearwater Pines just after sunrise. No teams, no tournament, just morning mist curling along the grass like smoke. He didn't head to the green this time. He went deeper, behind the maintenance shed where the junk was. He found the rusted bins, the cracked tiles from the old putting green, the discarded signs and fencing, and under a tarp, a box of old tournament flyers. He rummaged through them, hands shaking. They dated back years, decades, until he found it. The Pines Invitational, year 1974, the year the golfer vanished. Name, Garrett Wells, G.W. He kept digging. Behind the flyer was something else, a letter, water-damaged, never mailed, unfinished, in shaky cursive, to the course director. "There's something wrong with hole 18. It's not just a water hazard. There's something beneath it. It watches, it follows." Garrett said the green felt alive. He heard his name in the fog. "Please, you have to..." It ended in a smear of ink, as if the writer had been pulled away mid-sentence. Tyler's breath caught. It wasn't just a story. The course knew, and they buried it. He took the flyer and the letter and walked back to the 18th hole. The green looked perfect. Too perfect. Trimmed, even. Glossy from morning dew. Tyler knelt again. No fog this time, no footprints, just him. He dug carefully at the edge of the green where he'd found the box before. His finger brushed something else, fabric. He pulled slowly. Not a box, a bag, golf style, decayed, covered in mold, but it had a stitched name, Garrett Wells. He unzipped it. Inside, a single club, iron, still speckled with red, and a scorecard with the last hole circled. No signature, no end, just words scribbled in the corner. "I didn't miss. It wouldn't let me finish." Tyler looked towards the pond. A ripple, a slow one, and then a head rose from the water. Not alligator, not human. A large snout, jaw like bone, moss tangled around its teeth, its eyes locked with him, black, reflective. But in the sheen of the water, Tyler saw a face. Not his, not now, a man's face, pale, sunken, calling silently from beneath the surface. Tyler didn't scream. He stood tall, held the bag high, and said, "I found him." The creature sank, the pond stilled. Then a slow bubble surfaced, and the final T marker floated to the edge. Newly carved, return, rest. Tyler turned to the woods. He knew what to do now. He had to finish Garrett's game properly. Bury the bag, return the scorecard, seal the green, close the game so no one else would get written in. Tyler returned to hole 18 as the sun began to rise. The mist was thin this time, like the course was watching him, but not hiding. He carried the bag, not his, Garrett Wells. It was heavier than it looked, like it wanted to be set down. He reached the green and stopped. The green was flawless again, no divots, no edges, but beneath it he knew what lay waiting. He unzipped the bag, took out the scorecard, faded and soggy, then the club, iron, rusted. Its weight felt final, like closing a door. Tyler walked to the cup, bent low, and placed the scorecard into the hole. Then the club, then quietly the bag itself. It didn't fit at first, but the moment he let go, the earth beneath it shifted, like a chest breathing out. The green dipped, the bag sank, and it was gone. A gust of wind rolled over the course, cold, not cruel, just still, and from the pond a ripple spread to the edge, not fast, not sharp, just wide, like something leaving. Tyler knelt beside the hole, closed his eyes. "I saw you," he whispered. "I finished it. I brought it all back." The glass around him rustled. Something brushed past his hand, gentle, like a glove. He looked down. Another T marker had appeared beside the cup, white, fresh, etched simply with "Thank you." He nodded slowly, no footprints behind him, no dragging sound, just pine trees creaking in the wind. The course was quiet again, real quiet. And when he looked down at his own scorecard, tucked in his pocket, Garrett's name was gone. No scratches, no marks, just Tyler's strokes and an empty corner. He smiled, just a little, and walked away from the green. He didn't look back. Later that week, the groundskeeper poured new soil over the green, planted a tree where the cup had been. No more tournaments on hole 18. The course just got shorter, but somehow everyone agreed it felt right. Tyler still plays golf, but never in the fog, never with borrowed clubs, and never, ever does he finish someone else's shot. Some games aren't meant to end, but when they do, make sure you walk away. Not fade, not sink, walk away. Did you know many golf courses are built near marshlands, swamps, or even reclaimed graveyards? That means water hazards aren't just ponds, they're entire ecosystems. In places like Florida, alligators often crawl right onto the green. And in Scotland, some of the oldest courses are rumored to have been built over burial mounds. Some people have reported ghostly golfers, phantom swings, and carts that drive with no one inside. So next time you're on the fairway and the fog rolls in, don't play someone else's ball. It might not be just a game. If you've enjoyed tonight's story, The Golfer in the Fog, be sure to share it with the creepiest kid you know and leave a review to help more brave listeners find Sleep Tight Frights. You can follow the podcast for more weekly scares, spooky tales, and original creatures from around the world. And remember, not every game ends when the scoreboard says so. Some swings echo through the fogs forever. Some fog rolls in like weather, others come looking for names.
Thank you for listening to Sleep Tight Frights. It means more than you know, to us and to the things that listen back. I'm Ever Gray, your guide through the shadows, and if you felt something was watching as the story unfolded, you're not alone. They remember the ones who listen, they wait for the ones who return. So come back soon. Sleep tight if you can.